Hello, Tom Levecki here with a special, rare live stream of the New Theory podcast. I'm doing mostly in studio, as most of the people that watch the channel know, but Dr. Bart Rossi, who is a political psychologist, a trained psychologist, PhD, and also has a show that's syndicated in Florida. We'll talk about that in a minute, and appeared on CNBC, NBC, MSNBC, Fox and News, and literally is one of the leading political psychologists in the game. Very few people can do the punditry, and some people can do the psychology. Dr. Bart Rossi can do both. Dr. Bart Rossi, great seeing you. Welcome back to the New Theory podcast. How you doing?
Great to be with you, Tom. Nice to be with you today.
I know, unfortunately, we tend to do shows that are emergency and a little bit of emergency in nature, but it's still great to see you. So we're going to jump right in. My first question is, what was your initial reaction to the news of the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump?
Well, my first thought was, I've done a lot of presentations on Gun America and the whole situation with guns, Second Amendment, and profiling the shooters, for all of these unfortunate events, including Newtown and many others. And my first thought was, how political is this? Because it's obviously political. We're talking about shooting at a former president and wounding him and killing another person. But there's also the other side of, is this person young, inept, apparently, a lot of personal problems, socially withdrawn, according to his former classmates now. Somebody who typifies the personality and the profile of previous shooters. So how much of this is someone looking to gain attention, immediate identity, versus, someone who is really looking to shoot and kill a former president because they dislike his policies, or dislike him. So there's, it could be a combination of both, but I do think that it probably leans more to the latter, that it just looks to me like this is a profile that's very similar to all of the shooters that we've seen over the last 10 or 12 years.
Interesting. How do you think this event will impact the political landscape here in the U.S., both kind of short term and long term?
I thought initially that maybe, when you have an event like this, the person who gets shot, the person who's injured, gets some benefit from this in terms of some sympathy, why the violence towards that person. And I think that may be true here. But in thinking about it now for a little more than a day, I'm not sure that in a week or so from now, it's going to change the feelings of people on the right or the left, and probably not change those people in the middle either, who are independents. I think it's probably going to go forward with the issues and also the personalities of both of the candidates, and also the issues that both candidates have. Let's face it, they both have issues.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And it's interesting because is this a news cycle thing or is this something more permanent? Okay. What does this incident reveal about kind of the current state of political polarization here in the US?
Well, I think it highlights the fact that we're so divided that it's reaching the point of violence. Although, again, I think that this particular shooter may be one that's, again, looking for immediate identity and wants something in terms of his identification as a real person, because he's young, again, and inept individual socially with many psychological problems. By the way, they've indicated that the Secret Service says that we haven't found any psychological issues or mental health issues in the past. Well, that's really not the comment that I would prefer to hear,
Yeah.
because he didn't go to a mental health institution doesn't mean that he doesn't have profound mental health problems.
Correct.
Because if you listen to his classmates, um, and from high school, he had lunch by himself. One particular, rather astute young man said that he was bullied and then bullied almost beyond belief in school. Well, I mean, this kid obviously had many, many issues. I say kid, he's 20 years old, but he was. Um, but I lean towards the latter, that he's looking for some immediate identity. And I'm not sure there's going to be the great political uh, inferences here, as if, for example, it was somebody who wanted to kill Trump because he hated him and he wanted Biden to win, and there's some kind of a plot. I just don't see that yet out there at all. I don't see that.
Okay. So, and you kind of touch on this a little bit, but I'd like to expound. How does the psychological profile of the assailant differ from or align with other political extremists?
Well, that's a good question. And that kind of goes to what I was saying. Political extremists are very, very headstrong in terms of their way, or the highway. I mean, you and I have talked about this before. We
Mhm.
have politicians, maybe the right or the left, and boy, they have their ideas, and they don't really want to see anything but their vision of what the country should be, or their vision of the world, really. In this case, I happen to feel that. He may very well not be in that zone of extreme political person. I mean, did he really know about Trump's policies? Did he really know about foreign policy? Did this guy really, young guy, know about the abortion issue? Was that really was paramount with him? I kind of doubt it. I think he falls in line with the profile of the typical shooter that we've seen, from Newtown and the movie theater stuff, and everywhere else, where they're on the outside looking in. They're people who don't really have a self-identification. They don't have a peer group structure very well. They're really alone and aloof, and not really recognized by anybody, very limited friends. They all fit this profile, and he seems to be at this early point in that profile, rather than the profile that you were talking about, like the political extremists who really want their views out there. I'm not sure he knew about all the views that were really important.
Yeah. So this is a guy, where you're leaning towards is this isn't a politically motivated guy. This could have been a movie theater, a
Yeah,
church, a place of worship, whatever that is.
yeah.
Um, I did speak to a federal agent, and I didn't really kind of realize this, but I guess it makes sense. There's different detail levels and footprints for a president, vice president, former president, and a candidate. And I understand he was at the minimum level of footprint. And there was a lot of people actually defending the Secret Service and defending the protocol, etc. But I can't imagine there had been some breach or some inconsistencies in this particular detail, especially since a lot of details are starting to come out. You're not a security expert, but you are a gun guy, and you are a knowing the different levels of kind of where you can be in the political spectrum. What was your thought on the security breach and the security detail?
Another good question. The psychology of this is that you would want the most secure area. You want to think about how you could have the most secure setting, whether the person's a candidate or whatever, and how do you go about that? And in this case, I agree with you in your sentiment here in the question, that it just seems to me that they were missing quite a bit here. This shooter was way too close. How did that happen? Why wasn't the perimeter larger in scope? Why didn't they have people at that building? I mean, it just seems that there's going to be many, many questions about what they could have done and should have done. And of course, we have a lot of respect for the Secret Service and the FBI and people trying to do their best job. But it goes to show you, no matter how hard you try, sometimes you know, there's mistakes, and it seems like there's some mistakes here, and some issues that they really need to take care of. And by the way, this whole question brings up another big point, because with the magnitude of the Secret Service and the FBI and security, how much security are we looking for here in the country? Because now we have congressmen, U.S. senators, people in local office, some places, governors. Governor Whitmer was almost killed by a group. Um, I mean, what are we going to be, the most secure, conscious nation in the world? And in the meantime, have a proliferation of guns everywhere? I mean, it seems to me we should talk about security. Your question's a good one, but we should also talk about, what about guns? Do we really need semi-automatic assault weapons? And what about securing weapons? If someone like his father has 20 weapons, shouldn't they be secure? I mean, what kind of, of a system do we have here where anybody can buy a gun? Pretty soon, we're going to have security for you and I when we walk down the street if we do a podcast.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. What do you use? What was it, an AR-15 and
Yeah.
a semi long range shot, which is kind of incongruent. What was kind of the semantics behind that?
Well, I heard an expert on today that they said that it's a very close shot in terms of the weapon used, because when they do marksmanship for the Secret Service, you want to be good at 200 to maybe 400, 500 yards.
Oh
This
wow.
was this was within the scope of about 100, less than 150 yards. So apparently, someone knowing how to use the weapon could have made a very, very good shot here. Um, it's not a very long shot, considering. Which brings up your other point. Well, why wasn't there more security? On that rooftop. I mean, that's baffling to a lot of people right
I
now.
always thought I remember because I'm in New Jersey and when Trump was in office, he'd go to Bedminster pretty often because he has Trump National there. It's literally down the street, if you will, for me in a half hour sense in terms of Route 78. So you see helicopters, right?
Hmm.
No helicopters, no drones. I mean, do you think there
Yeah.
might be a certain level of the appointee? Obviously, is from Biden. She was head of security at Pepsi. She came back to head up the Secret Service. There's some thought to believe that she put minimal resources towards Trump for political reasons. You're the psychologist. Give us, and you're just surmising and giving your professional opinion. But is there any political or psychological games going on there?
I don't think. I mean, there will be conspiracy theories. You had Congressman Mike Collins from Georgia say that Biden should be arrested immediately because he ordered a hit. No, I mean, it's just.
That's,
Come on.
that's
I mean,
pushing.
it's just ridiculous. And to say that there was minimal security there, there's problems and holes in the security. But to say that someone deliberately tried to set this up so that that building and that rooftop might not be covered because of somebody in Washington, no, no. This is a secure event in terms of what they thought, but there were mistakes. And the other thing that gets me too with this whole thing is, everybody makes. We don't have perfect anywhere. And I don't think you're going to ever get perfect security. You're not going to get perfect anything. We don't have perfect people. So you want to do the best you can, and there's holes in this, and that's where it is. And there could be holes in many other operations too, but this was one of them.
All right. So I was watching some traditional media. CNN has, I don't know if there's a strange strategy or focus or what's going on, but they're almost being Trump friendly. I saw Cenk Ugar, the hell his name is, from the Young Turks, who's extreme left, in my opinion. And he actually said this, he acquiesced. That photo of Trump, raising his hand with the flag, I've had my most left-leaning friends say, "Wow, that was a powerful moment in um, in U.S. history." And I don't want to elongate the question, but it's not going to change a person who's pro-choice. I get that. The pro-life person's already going to support him, but it doesn't matter really what you and I think. It matters that 6% in 4 to 7 states
Mhm.
that are in the middle. I can't imagine that won't affect that, Doc. But give me your opinion about the people in the middle.
Well, I think the effect is going to be there with supporters. And is it really going to change someone's mind a week from now who might be on the fence, or as the campaign heats up over the summer into the fall? I just don't see that. I think that the issues, the economy, this whole thing about inflation, the abortion issue, the border issue, the personalities of the two of them. I mean, quite frankly, we've got two guys that, in my opinion, uh, shouldn't be running. I mean, if you take Biden, we've seen that there's cognitive issues. Is he incompetent? Well, there's cognitive issues, and you don't want to have a person in the office who may be good today, good tomorrow, but maybe then have some days and maybe not too good. That's not what we want in a president.
Yeah.
And there's cognitive issues there. And on the other side, if you looked at that debate carefully, one of my friends who scores the debates, and I do too, he gave them both an F, one an F minus, that was Biden, and the other one, Trump, an F because he lied on every single question. Trump said he ordered 10,000 troops, and he gave those troops to Nancy Pelosi to defend, and she failed.
Mhm.
That's beyond preposterous. That's beyond a lie. That's like on the lunatic fringe of an answer.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
person,
but
that
no,
person, now
yeah.
wait, that person, the former president, answered a question in a manner that is actually, in my view, close to the lunatic fringe or beyond. You don't make up. I mean, Tom LaVecchia just ordered 20,000 troops, and he gave them to Bart Rossi in Florida. Oh, that we did that, right? Well, come on.
But so here's the thing, and call me jaded. Well, I am jaded, but in this sense that we kind of expect or overlook if a politician, especially somebody like Trump, is exaggerating the truth. Now, you pinned it as, and probably appropriately, a extreme pinned comment. So no argument there.
Yeah,
However,
yeah, but Tom, no,
we kind of
no.
expect that.
No. You can't make excuses for anybody, Tom, by saying, well, it's politics and people, they fib, they spin, they lie. I mean, Trump, we know that from the fraud case. He lives in a 10,000 square foot apartment at Trump Tower. He put
Yeah.
down that it was 30,000 square feet on his tax returns. He writes off 20,000 square feet. We know that. You can't do that. I mean, I can't do that. I mean, that's like, it's to say it is almost like, did I just make that up? I mean, did somebody make that up? Who could even dream of saying that your place is 30,000 square feet when it's only 10,000 square feet in reality? I mean, the lies on top of lies. And by the way, you're not wrong. In politics, there are a lot of lies,
Yeah.
but the magnitude of lies on one side appears to be a disqualifier in my mind. And on the other side, I think Biden should have left, should have said, I did my 4 years, and I'm getting older, and I'd like to take age off the table. That's what he should do. That's what he should have done, in my view. But
Well,
they both have issues here that are profound, and I think that what we're saying here kind of answers your question
yeah.
on whether or not this image of him with his arm up and a bleeding ear is going to be a focal point a week or a month from now. I think people are too ingrained in their thoughts to really have that as a real effect later on.
Okay, so you brought up something really important because again, there are core issues, but I believe there are kind of core issues that are top of mind. Meaning, Roe v. Wade is always going to get pushed and pulled. It got pushed down to the states. There are just people that will never support Trump. We know that, so we kind of talked. Let's take that off the table, right? The pro-Christian right, will more than likely not be, LGBTQ friendly. But this particular cycle, we're looking at issues of the economy and inflation, right? We're looking at issues of the border. To me, are kind of the top two outside of those issues on the table. Not diminishing those issues, but people land when they land. Now, just giving some thought on this, you need a strong leader, right? A strong leader, which if you're older and fragile, which Biden perceives to be, so it's kind of like, okay, maybe he's not strong enough. Now, Trump being the guy, hey, I almost got killed for you and I got shot at, his perceived leadership and strength level will increase. So, what I believe is the perception of strong leadership may be elevated for Trump, right? That's just my opinion. But here's my question: what is your strategy moving forward if you're running the Trump campaign moving forward in light of this recent assassination?
Well, from my point of view, I think Trump would be better off to comment about this, say that he's a strong leader, he's gonna move forward with this approach. He's tough, and highlight uh, what he's going to do in terms of his agenda. And he's actually going to be pushed to do that because he's got the RNC and he's got his supporters who want um, a very conservative platform and a conservative agenda. So he's going to have to push that, and he probably will. I think he will push it as far as he can during the convention and post convention, all the way up to the election. And I think that's going to be a defining moment, or defining approach, I should say, because it's going to engage his followers. But it's also a risky one because the people in the middle um, are, and certainly Democrats are very highly questionable about Trump and his behavior, like we just talking about his lies, the border issue. I mean, it looks like he stopped that bipartisan bill in the Senate. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't. I mean, actually, from a political standpoint, you could almost understand. I mean, as sinister as it is, that you wouldn't want the border problem solved before the election because he wants to solve the border problem and get credit for it. I mean, politicians think that way, and I think it's unfortunate, but the bipartisan Senate bill to assist on the border would have been a giant step in the right direction, according to many of the Republicans. So it's unfortunate that politics is getting in the way. And then, when you come to strength, as you said, what is strength? Does Trump really look like he's? I mean, Biden doesn't look like he's strong at times because of his how you perceive him, but Trump doesn't look like he's that strong to me when he's excuse me, ready to kiss ass on Putin. Excuse me. I mean, that doesn't, I mean, Republicans typically, which I always like, support the troops. They support defending a nation under attack. They defend NATO. I mean, NATO is been a big plus for the Republican Party for years.
Yeah.
Now to kind of say that maybe we shouldn't uh, participate, or to come, that's another thing, to come up like Trump says, well, they're not paying their bills. Well, that's not true. That's just not. As a matter of fact, some of the NATO members have gone over the 2% that they're supposed to be paying. They said,
Well,
"Listen, we're under threat." So I mean, it's another
yeah.
fabrication.
Well, because I'm going to wrap up soon, but I want to get your opinion. So generally, we disagree in politics constantly, ideology and so forth, right?
Right.
However, with the Israeli-Hamas war, with the Russian and Ukraine war, there's a literally political divide, and I think a lot of it is just because it's political. Meaning, Israel is a staunch ally of the U.S. and the Democrats have been not say pro Hamas because that'd be unfair to say, but have been very pro Palestinian, which I do think there's a divide, and I respect that point of view. But Israel is a staunch ally of ours, right? Why is the Democratic Party leaning towards being a little bit more Palestine friendly, which is more of a European point of view, versus the Republicans went very right and supporting of Israel?
Well, it's a good that's a good point. I think that the Democrats are really thinking about the fact that this whole situation over there requires a Palestinian state, and that Israel, they're our friend, but they've got to somehow come up with an approach to create a
Yeah,
Palestinian state. And without it, you continue to have a war, and you have all these terrorist groups, including more sophisticated ones now like Hamas,
yeah,
which really is ugly. And then complicating the fact that what you just said is that our friend Israel, in my view, did not really do something that was very smart politically and militarily with this whole situation with Hamas. They came out after this horrific attack and they said they want to eliminate Hamas. Oh, I certainly would like to see that. I'm sure you would too. These
yeah,
people are just, well, they're not even people, really. But, but, and there's a big one here, big but. How do you go out and kill all of these people that are terrorists hiding in schools, hiding in temples, hiding in churches? How do you, it seems to me that they'd have been better off saying that we're going to go after these people, we're going to use intelligence, and we're going to have strategic strikes around the country wherever possible
yeah,
to uh, to make this work and to eventually eliminate them. But to go out and kill all of these people that are innocent, um, I mean, that's a problem. Our friend Israel is a question mark in terms of their actions, and actually, it's a question mark with the people of Israel. They're divided.
yeah. Well, because that's a right wing government there, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
feel extreme, whereas a lot of people are moderate. But I wanted you to weigh in on that. Okay, my final question, and then I want to plug your show for those people watching here in replay. Who is a vice president pick in your opinion? We're going to log this in and give us the why.
I have a feeling it's going to be Vance, but
Think so?
I could be wrong. I just think that well, he's a young guy
Yeah,
who would be very, very strong behind Trump. He would be somebody who would be a real advocate for Trump. Very verbal, very, very strong, and yet young,
yeah,
which would be attractive, I think, to younger voters. Quite frankly, um, I think they all come with some pluses and minuses. Rubio
yeah.
um, and North Dakota Governor Burgum, Burgum, but I, I have a feeling it might be Vance, but
Interesting.
that would be my guess for right now. Uh, but I think it's got to be somebody who really wants to support Trump and go with those policies and be very, very conservative. It's going to be a very conservative ticket, and that ticket will resonate with Trump supporters and people on the right, and it will be a target for those people on the left and for a lot of people in the middle who not only want the abortion issue squared away, but they want other issues. I mean, like diversity and inclusion and voting rights. I mean, Tom, we still have a situation where if people go and vote in Houston or they go in parts of Atlanta, they have to know that they're going to be waiting in line for 8 or 10 hours to vote on voting day. Something's wrong with this picture.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole nother bowl of wax. Doc, plug
Yes.
your show. Congratulations on the syndication. But plug your show for people for here on the replay.
Very good. And we'll let's talk soon.
No, but I'm saying plug your show. Tell them about your show.
I'm sorry, I thought you. Yeah. Actually, my show is called Power and Politics, and it's now in syndication across Florida. It's a half-hour show. I do a rant on the show. The last show I did a rant on the fact that if people want change in America, uh, let's say we're looking at this from the Democratic Party. If they really want change and they want a younger person, why doesn't the Democratic Party give what voters and what people are looking for? And I think that's a good. What's the party there for? They got to tell Biden that it's time to go. And I thought my rant was fair. And I thought our comments are try to be very, very fair down the middle. This is not a non-biased show. We attack both sides equally. We have sunshine and showers. We put somebody in the sunshine and someone in the showers. We have some really nice stories, and we cover all of the issues of the day in a half hour. And my partner Frank Sapola does a commentary at the end after 40 years being in the news business. And now we're looking to hopefully have the show expand. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'll put a link to that so people check it out. Dr. Rossi, always a pleasure. We'll be in touch, and they can able to check it out. Those on a
Yeah.
replay. Drop your
Yeah,
comments
the
below.
show is if you can look it up online. Anyone who's watching us, it's powerandpolitics.tv. There's no spaces in between. Powerandpolitics.tv, and the last show will come up, and all of the other ones on YouTube. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Doc. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Ciao.